Hey everybody, it's Abergwine, and guess what? I've got a Redbubble shop now. You want some stickers of me or Sam? You got 'em. Got a messenger bag that needs some swag? How about a button with my face on it? Or Sam's face? Or go crazy and get both? Need a new journal? I got hardcover and spiral notebooks. Bam! But Abby, I need a new art journal. Well, no problem, you silly goose. You can get them with blank pages too. Want to show your support without wearing something blatantly furry? How about a shirt that just says have fun, stay awesome? Yeah, spread those good vibes. So go check out my new Redbubble shop. The link to it is down in the video description. Have fun, stay awesome, and enjoy the show, y'all. Hello, and welcome to another riveting episode of Furries in the Media, the series that reviews video clips and other media based on how the furry fandom is represented. I'm your host, Abergwine.
And I'm your co-host, Sam.
And today, we'll take a look at a 2015 video from TMZ.
Abby, isn't that just another tabloid?
Yep, I'm just a glutton for punishment these days. Let's do it.
All right! It's angsty 90s actress Eliza Dushku! And she's... where is she?
So, Eliza Dushku showed up in literally the last place you would ever expect.
A movie?
A furry convention! What is that?
People who dress up in animal outfits and bang each other.
Nope. Their definition of furries is completely off. Furries are people who are fans of anthropomorphic characters, or characters with human characteristics, such as walking upright, wearing clothes, or the ability to talk. Furthermore, while I think it's safe to say that most furries have their own fursona, or a furry persona, most furries don't own costumes of their fursonas, or as we call them, fursuits. Even out of the furries that do own fursuits, only a small part of that group uses their fursuits for adult purposes. But hey, when has TMZ ever been known for its shrewdness?
Anthrocon, which is short for anthropomorphism, which is nerd for giving human traits to animals, is all about good, clean, creepy fun.
Okay, that is the right definition of anthropomorphism, but why the hate towards nerds? Like, nerd culture is actually kind of mainstream these days.
Yeah, that's an oddly 90s insult for a video made in 2015.
We got a dragon that wants to play.
See? It's not like a weird sex thing.
It usually turns into like a weird sex thing.
Does TMZ ever say how it's supposed to turn into a weird sex thing?
They don't go into any specific details here, nor later in the video. Given that they don't present any examples or solid evidence of how furry turns into a weird sex thing, I think it's safe to say that this claim can be classified as the sweeping generalization logical fallacy. Oh, and they also think they're being clever by playing up the irony here.
It's not like a weird sex thing.
It usually turns into like a weird sex thing.
Pro tip, if you really want irony to be effective, you should base it in reality. Like this. Hey Sam, how credible is TMZ as a news source?
TMZ is a very reputable source of information that shows nothing but respect for the individuals they present their stories on.
Well, can you blame them?
She's so cute!
Hot!
Yeah, it does get pretty warm wearing those costumes. But I know that's not what the narrator's implying. Let's listen to that line again.
She's so cute!
It sounds like whoever said that was exhibiting a behavior known as cute aggression.
What's that?
It's when someone acts superficially aggressive towards something they find extremely cute. A person might grit their teeth, clench their fists, or feel the urge to pinch or squeeze something they find cute without causing harm or intending to cause harm. They might also say something like, "I'm gonna eat you right up."
You're so precious. And I just want to swallow you and spit you out and swallow you.
I suspect that the person in the clip who said "she's so cute" was likely exhibiting some degree of cute aggression. My lengthy explanation aside, anyone with two brain cells to rub together could have figured out that the line "she's so cute" was not spoken in the context of being all hot and bothered.
So where's your outfit, Eliza? Maybe next year?
We actually got in touch with the organizers, and they said that they're not going to give her a special invite next year because they felt that she wasn't fully committed to it.
Well, how do you fully commit to a furry convention? Fully committed is what they'll write on his admission paperwork.
Furry conventions usually invite special guests of honor each year. Most often, these are people who are notable individuals within the furry community, or sometimes they're people outside the community who do stuff that is furry adjacent. Anthrocon 2015's guests of honor were Kim Lin Tran, a voice actor who voiced the character Fidget in the game Dust and Elysian Tale, and the iconic sports mascot, the San Diego Chicken. As far as I know, Eliza Dushku hasn't done anything furry adjacent, so I don't think she'd be getting any special invitations. I imagine that she is certainly welcome to attend Anthrocon or any furry convention as a registered attendee if she wanted.
What about that stock photo of the guy in the straitjacket?
That's TMZ's attempt at trying to portray furries as mentally ill. As far as I know, research does not support any hypothesis of mental illness as the cause of being a furry, nor has being a furry been shown to be a symptom of any mental illness. In fact, according to the International Anthropomorphic Research Project's findings through a survey conducted at Anthrocon 2018, they have found little evidence that furries differ from non-furries in the prevalence of mental illness, and their past findings actually suggest the opposite. Furries are, if anything, less prone to mental illness than others.
I think people are going to want a source for that.
Don't worry, I've already got a link to it in the video description.
But didn't that same survey also find furries more likely to be autistic?
That is true, Sam. One of the survey questions asked participants if they had ever been formally diagnosed by a professional as having autism, to which 11.7% of the participants answered that they had. But we gotta remember that correlation is not the same as causation. People don't become furries because they are autistic, because that percentage would be a lot higher if that were true. The IARP notes two important caveats for this particular finding. One is that males are more likely to be diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and the furry fandom is predominantly male. Secondly, the IARP believes that this high prevalence of autism is not unique to the furry fandom, but is a characteristic of any fan group. Given that one of the diagnostic criteria of autism is having a strong interest or fascination with a specific topic, the IARP speculates that fandoms may be more appealing to people on the autism spectrum. That all being said, I'll let you in on a little secret, TMZ. We furries are painfully aware that this is not what people consider to be a normal hobby.
Yeah, this also feels like yet another outdated assumption about furries.
Excuse me, Abby, I've got something to look into. What? Okay then, on to the next part of this video, I guess.
As for the furry fetish, anyone have any questions?
Nope, no more questions here. Show's over, people. The ultimate authority that is TMZ has definitively declared furry is just a fetish. Well, I'm glad that's been resolved. Have fun, stay awesome, bye-bye. Nah, just kidding. We got more of this shit to go through, but I've got some stuff to say about this in the My Thoughts section.
If you dress as an animal, can you bring your animal?
No, that's called bestiality.
Furry conventions don't allow people to bring their pets for the same reason that amusement parks, zoos, and museums don't allow people to bring their pets. It's just more cleanup and liability than it's worth.
Yeah, don't make this weird. Anyway, thanks, Eliza. And furries, good luck getting the hair out of your car.
TMZ's the only one making this weird by taking clips out of context and flat out refusing to do any actual journalism that might produce results different from their initial misconceptions. Good luck ever being considered as a legitimate source of information. Let's take a look at those review stats. Information accuracy is 14%, and the spirit is 0%, giving us an average of 7%. And now time for my thoughts. I hated this video. I mean, I had fun ripping it to shreds, but everything about this video clip sucks. You know what? Since TMZ spent so much of their time shitting on the furry fandom, I'm gonna take some time to offset their fuckery with some real talk about Anthrocon 2015. That year, the convention saw 6,389 attendees, 1,460 of which were fursuiters, and they raised $35,910 for the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society. But that's not even the biggest news from that year. Anthrocon 2015 was the very first furry convention ever to host its fursuit parade outdoors. And I know that doesn't sound like much of an accomplishment, but hear me out. That outdoor fursuit parade couldn't have happened without the years of hard work the convention organizers have been putting in since 2006 building good relations with the city of Pittsburgh. And it still wouldn't have been possible without the wonderful people of Pittsburgh who have always graciously welcomed Anthrocon back year after year. The outdoor fursuit parade is Anthrocon's way of giving back to this beautiful, loving community. But if I had to guess what sort of misconceptions the convention organizers had to deal with in the early days, it could have looked like what we saw in TMZ's video clip. But I would hope for the sanity of everyone involved that it wasn't even half as toxic as that shit.
What did I miss?
TMZ called furry a fetish and just generally hurled abuse at the furry fandom, and their clip got a total average of 7%.
Oh, so nothing big then.
TMZ may have written off furry as a fetish, but what evidence did they present to support their claim? They made a sweeping generalization that furry eventually turns into a weird sex thing, with no evidence or examples whatsoever to support that claim. The only other piece of evidence presented is this clip, where it's painfully obvious that it's been taken out of context.
Do we have any evidence that furry is not a fetish?
As I've said in past episodes of Furries in the Media, it is possible to be a furry and not take part in the adult side at all. If you're a furry, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but if you're not, you might have some doubts about my claim, and I don't think you would be wrong to have those doubts. The broadest definition of what a furry is, that applies to every furry, is a person who is a fan of anthropomorphic animals. I don't say that something applies to every furry very often, but this is it. This is the one thing that applies to every single furry. How an individual expresses that interest is completely up to them, but it's difficult to determine any individual's preferences without directly asking them. What's something we never saw in TMZ's clip?
Respect for the people in it?
Well, yeah, but what I was getting at was that there were no interviews or direct statements from furries, or from Eliza Dushku for that matter. And I doubt that TMZ shot their own footage. Hell, I suspect they just grabbed those clips off of YouTube. Anyways, this video clip from TMZ does nothing to inform its audience about furries, and instead relies on the audience's ignorance of the subject so that they can dredge up outdated misconceptions purely for entertainment value.
About those outdated misconceptions, I may have an explanation now that I'm back.
Yeah, where did you go earlier?
I went to check TMZ's internet connection. Would you believe that they were still using dial-up? I found a strange relic in one of their disk drives. It was a flat blue circular object with the initials AOL on it.
Oh, that would explain why their misconceptions about furries were stuck in the early 2000s.
Hey, did Eliza Dushku ever actually go to Anthrocon 2015?
I was curious about that myself. I looked through Eliza's Instagram and it looks like she was only there for the fursuit parade, which, as far as I know, she didn't need to register with the convention to watch it.
Of course! That explains the con's response to TMZ.
Yeah, they probably didn't even know she was in the crowd.
Did she take any other pictures at Anthrocon?
I didn't see any other posts that had anything to do with Anthrocon, but her posts from later that same day and in the days following were tagged at places like PNC Park, the National Aviary, and the Heinz Hall for the Performing Arts, which are all pretty big tourist attractions throughout the city. I think it's safe to say that she was just out sightseeing, and I suspect that TMZ was creeping on Eliza Dushku's Instagram, found exactly 2 photos she took adjacent to a furry convention, and implied that she was guilty by association of being a furry.
So there wasn't even a story there at all?
Nope, they literally made a mountain out of a molehill, if you'll pardon the expression.
I will not.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Furries in the Media. Have fun, stay awesome. Bye-bye.